Here we are. Oh my gosh, man. Mercy on my soul. But yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G133. Hope you guys are staying well and healthy. I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for August 31st, 2020. And my suffering continues. Man, this show was awful tonight. To be honest, I'm not even 1 minute into the review. I look in the chat and here comes Drew Pierce. I'm starting to think, bro, that you're actually a troll because tonight's Raw was absolutely awful. I'm sorry, and we're gonna go straight into the opening shoot because honestly, I don't want to do this review tonight. I do it because I have a duty to the people. I have a duty to my subscribers. I have a duty to educate the wrestling community, and this was a terrible show. I see Junior in the chat, man. We haven't seen you in a while, bro. One of the long-term subscribers, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This show was atrocious. It was atrocious. And I'm going to talk about it. Going into the opening shoot. You guys know this is a Pro Sausage Bakes channel. Pro Sausage Bakes channel. And you guys know how honest I am all the time. One of the reasons why I call Sausage Bakes the best female wrestler in the world is because whenever she's on the screen, I know I'm going to be entertained. And I said this last night on the Monday Night Raw review. Or not the Raw review, the Payback review. I said that now that Sausage Bakes and Bayley are no longer tag team champions, there's no reason for them to be on Monday Night Raw anymore. No reason. Right? Like, why should they be? They're not tag team champions. Sasha's not the Raw Women's Champion. They need to go back to SmackDown and they need to start building towards the Sasha Banks and Bayley feud. But I will say this, even though Sasha and Bayley should have not been on this show tonight, their presence, just their mere presence, just them showing up in a backstage interview or anything would have made this show 10 times better. Because I'm sitting here and I have no idea what to talk about tonight, guys. I really don't. If you guys watch the Monday Night Raw reviews, what do I say every single week? I usually spend 20 to 25 minutes just talking about Sasha and Bayley and what's going on with their story. No matter if it's Sasha versus Asuka, no matter if it's Sasha and Bayley defending the tag team championships, no matter if it's something else. Every week that they were on the show, from when they won the tag team championships back in June to the end of August, which was a 3-month span, every single week we had something to talk about. And now I'm sitting here and I have no interest with Monday Night Raw whatsoever. I love Randy Orton, I love Keith Lee, I love Drew McIntyre, but I love Asuka. But everything else in the show just doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. This show was atrocious tonight. Every time Sasha's on the screen, I'm just like, at least there's one positive that comes out of the show. Seeing Sasha entertain me. But now, with them not there, and they shouldn't be there, like I said, it's just, there's nothing to enjoy. This show is not enjoyable. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. It's boring as hell. They need something big to shake things up. And the answer is not Retribution. It's not. Retribution is not the answer to shake things up. I'm telling you right now. We saw the ratings go up since SummerSlam was a good show, and everyone was talking about WWE Thunderdome. But now WWE has gone right back to the same old boring garbage. Tonight's show wasn't good at all. There's some things we're going to talk about tonight, but this was not a good show. This was very, very boring. Very boring. And I'm just like, man, now I got to come on and give a review and entertain my viewers when I don't have any interest in the show. I really don't. It's just sad. It really is sad. How boring Raw is these days. The ratings are going to go right back down to probably under a 2. And if they don't, not this week, then I'm going to bet next week, unless something happens. Because this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. This show was very boring tonight. I did not enjoy it. But as always, I will give you guys the best review I can. All right, and I see Truebacker60 saying you don't have to if you don't want to. Bro, I have a duty. I have a duty to all y'all. I put myself through the misery, the suffering of watching this show just for you guys every single week. Because if I don't, you'll have idiots like Drew Pierce coming on and saying that Raw was a good show. Absolutely ridiculous. But getting into tonight's podcast, thank you guys for joining me. No matter if you guys are watching live, on the stream as always, or if you guys are watching on demand, thank you for joining me. You guys are amazing as always. If you guys haven't, go back and watch the Payback review. Definitely the last 2 weeks. The SummerSlam review last week, the Payback review last night. 2 of the best podcasts of the year. Both those podcasts are near 2 hours. So definitely, I got you guys with the content. Go check that out if you guys haven't already. As always, thank you guys for live tweeting with me. If you guys aren't following me down on social media, what you guys are doing, that's the easiest way to get in contact when I'm not on ranting on here on YouTube. But thank you guys, as always, for all the love and support. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys are new to the channel, if you guys are new and you guys enjoy the podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I love seeing new subscribers. But talking about Monday Night Raw tonight, a couple of things before we get into the show, because I'm gonna be honest, we're gonna rush through this show very quickly, bro. And I see you guys getting on Drew in the comment section. I'm telling you, I don't know half the time if he's trolling or he's actually being serious. Like I really don't know. It's hard to tell when you have that little Bill profile pic. But anyway, a couple of things. Some of you guys did DM me on Twitter talking about Brock Lesnar. There are reports that Lesnar is a free agent, but let's be serious here. You guys really think Lesnar's leaving WWE? You think Vince would ever let Lesnar leave WWE? First of all, Brock's not going to AEW. That doesn't seem like Brock at all. Yes, he might be a free agent right now, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. He could be a free agent for the next 2-3 months. We may not see Brock Lesnar for the rest of the year. But I'm telling you right now, Brock Lesnar, he's not going back to UFC. He's not going to AEW. Lesnar is going to re-sign with WWE. He always does. This is not the first time Lesnar's contract has expired in the last decade. He's been doing this with WWE since he made his return in 2012. Brock Lesnar will come back. Trust me. He could be just pulling out for more money, or it just could be because they have nothing for him. They're not going to pay Lesnar if they're not going to bring him on TV. I don't see Lesnar returning in the Thunderdome, even though they could do that, but I honestly don't see Brock Lesnar coming back till they have live crowds, because then he's going to try to use that for, them cheap ratings. I see my boy Ultrinsic Paul in the chat. Randy Orton, the greatest wrestler of all time. I see that. But either way, don't be concerned, guys. Lesnar will be back with WWE, especially with some of the matches that they can do. I still want to see a Lesnar versus McIntyre rematch. I still think those guys can put on like a 15 to 20 minute classic. Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee. I could definitely see that happening at WrestleMania next year, possibly. So definitely, Brock Lesnar is going to be back, guys. So don't worry about that. He'll re-sign with WWE eventually. Plus, you have the whole thing where, the whole Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman situation. There's a story there. As much as I don't want to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar anymore, there's a story there if WWE wants to do it. You could do something like, now that Roman is a Paul Heyman guy, how does that affect Heyman's relationship with Brock Lesnar? So that's definitely interesting. So like I said, Lesnar will be back. Give it time. I'm not surprised his contract expired. He's just going to probably get more money than ever, which is, sad because he only appears a couple times a year. But Lesnar will be back. Don't worry about that. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is Mauro Ranallo. All right, Mauro is gone from WWE. He announced this on his Facebook page, and it was announced by other wrestling sources. This is sad. It's almost as sad as Renee Young leaving WWE. I hate that Mauro's leaving. He's the best commentator in WWE. He's been the best commentator since JR. And, I don't mind Michael Cole as much. You guys know I hate Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton. They're clowns. I like Corey Graves. But honestly, Mauro Ranallo was the greatest WWE commentator since JR. He should have never left the main roster, but we all know what happened with him and JBL. And we also know that, down in NXT, he had some mental issues. He was in some conflicted situations. And if I see Morrow in AEW down the line, I'm going to lose my mind. Because people like Morrow and Renee Young, I hate seeing them go to AEW, even though they'll probably get treated better. It's just that WWE just letting people like that go. I hate it. I really do hate it. But it is sad to see Morrow go, but it kind of makes sense. WWE is looking to sign Wade Barrett back full time, and probably stay in NXT, which I loved Wade Barrett's commentary. But it is sad to see Morrow go. Probably the best commentary we've seen in WWE since JR, and that's facts in my opinion. All right, don't try to debate me on that. All right, so I just wanted to touch on those two things before we got into Monday Night Raw tonight. But getting to Raw, like I said, if you guys missed the opening shoot, this show was garbage. Especially without Sasha Banks and Bayley on it, and they're not going to be on it for the foreseeable future. I got so used to seeing Sasha and Bayley on Raw. It's just that not seeing them tonight really hurt this show for me. Plus, this show wasn't any good to begin with. The big thing was that they were finding a new number one contender for Drew McIntyre. And the way they set it up, they would have 3 singles matches, and the winners of those singles matches would be put into a triple threat match at the end of the night to determine who would face Drew McIntyre at the end of September 27th, I believe, for the WWE Championship. Obviously, the clear favorite for this was Randy Orton, especially since him and McIntyre have unfinished business. But you have the interesting, prospect of Keith Lee being put in there, but I didn't see Keith Lee really winning it. And it's too early for Keith Lee anyway to be put into a high WWE Championship match, in my opinion, especially since I don't see Keith winning that title. Maybe down the line we'll see Keith win the title, maybe at WrestleMania next year, even though I would predict Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar is more likely. But still, that's my thoughts on that. But Seth Rollins was in the mix, but we've already seen Seth versus Drew McIntyre. And the other names made no sense to me. Well, Kevin Owens, he makes a little bit of sense. Kevin Owens is a main event star, so I did remind him. But you put Dolph Ziggler in the mix. Dolph Ziggler was supposed to face Keith Lee in the first singles match of the night. And this was terrible because everyone knows Ziggler is a loser. I've been saying this for months. Ziggler should not have another WWE Championship match for the rest of his career. Especially after his feud with McIntyre. The guy's a loser. I hate when WWE does these random matches. We all knew Ziggler's not winning it. He shouldn't even been in the match to begin with. And then the other one, it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, but that was scrapped because Rey was injured, so he wasn't cleared to compete. So his son Dominic was going to be put in the mix. So Dominic would be facing Seth. And even though we all knew there was no chance that Dominic was going to win, no chance that Dominic was going to walk out as the number one contender. It just makes no sense, and it shows how out of touch Vince is. That someone who's had four main roster matches in his entire wrestling career over the last week, and the fact that he's already being put in the WWE Championship hunt. It makes no sense. I don't care if Dominic was not going to win or not. It makes zero sense, and it shows how out of touch this dude Vince really is. It really makes zero sense. Zero sense whatsoever. So, that's my thoughts on that. The only two that really made any sense that could be the number one contenders were Keith Lee and Randy Orton. And I said last night on the Payback review that I wouldn't be surprised if we got, Keith Lee versus Randy Orton versus McIntyre in a triple threat match at Clash of Champions. We're not getting that. It's going to be Randy Orton, but, that was the only logical thing that I was thinking of. But the show started off, Randy Orton came out, and, Randy Orton, he's been one of the best on the mic in all of WWE this year. He cut a really good promo, once again, talking about how he's entitled to a rematch, and how even though he shouldn't have to, he will beat the odds, he would beat KO tonight, and he would also win the triple threat match and earn his opportunity against McIntyre. So, I like that promo he cut. Keith Lee came out, Lee came out and talked about how even though Randy Orton is great, he still was forced to bask in his glory last night at Clash of Champions, which was one of the biggest shocks of the night, if not the biggest shock. But, I was happy that Keith Lee got the dub. Still, man, Keith Lee's theme, I'm going to keep saying it every single week till WWE changes this. Change his theme back to the Limitless one. Oh, bask in his glory! For he is limitless. Like, give me Keith Lee's original theme back. I'm going to say it every single week. I'm going to speak it into existence. That generic shit, I will never get used to it. I will never accept it. Plus, Keith needs to stop wrestling in shirts. I still don't understand why they have him doing that. That's terrible. I will keep saying it every single week. Just know until it's done, get used to it. I'm going to keep saying it. But, basically, Keith said Orton had the bask in his glory, and he would have to do the same thing tonight in the triple threat match. He got attacked from behind by Dolph Ziggler. Classic heel move. Didn't really care because we knew Ziggler had no chance. No chance in this match. This was a decent match. You knew it was going to be. As bad as Ziggler's booked, he can have a good match with anybody. Keith Lee, of course, he's amazing as well. This was a good match. Ziggler tried to hold Leaf down with sleeper holds. He also hit him with a zigzag, but it could not keep Keith down. Lee planted Ziggler with the spirit bomb. I don't know. Is Keith not allowed to use the Big Bang Catastrophe anymore? Like, come on. The spirit bomb, I love the spirit bomb, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a power bomb. Kevin Owens has it as his finisher. Apollo has it as his finisher. Like, I would much rather him just use the Big Bang Catastrophe, but that's a little side note. It's another change to Keith Lee's character that I hate. I hate how they're making all these different changes to Keith's moveset and his character. Like, I really do hate it, bro. But Keith gets the win here with the Spirit Bomb, putting him into the triple threat for later on in the night. Good match. It's just, I hate when WWE insults our intelligence, man. Like, we all knew Ziggler had no shot. Like, you could have put up Keith against anybody else. It had to be Dolph Ziggler. Like, come on. Then we go backstage. We have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Oh my gosh, man. Nia sucks, bro. She really does suck. She doesn't even know how to hold that championship correctly. But we have Shayna and Nia. They are celebrating their tag team title victory. And I have to keep reminding myself that Sasha and Bayley had an amazing run as tag team champions. I know it was about, close to 3 months, but they had an amazing run. I don't think anybody can dispute that. They clearly had the best tag team championship run out of any team in WWE this year. And I'm talking about the men as well. And they elevate those tag team titles. But I'm going to be honest, I said this on the Payback review. I don't care about the tag team championships now that they're off Sasha Banks and Bayley. Yes, I'm a little bit biased, but it's also because you've never made those titles look important on anybody other than Sasha Banks and Bayley. And Shayna and Nia are not a tag team at the end of the day. I said for months that Sasha and Bayley should lose those tag team championships to the Riot Squad, an actual team. Shayna and Nia are not a team. And the thing is, they just don't fit well together. Yes, Sasha and Bayley put Shayna over in the biggest way last night at Payback. It was a great ending. But now I just don't care about the tag team titles. Because you haven't made me care about them when they're not on Sasha and Bayley. Actually make those titles look important and I'll change my mind. But I don't care. I don't care. Nia is trash. It's that simple. She's trash. Garbage. Alright? Shayna's great, but Nia is garbage. And basically Shayna and Nia, they're still doing their bickering. And I'm like, they're not a team. Nia's calling herself the tag team champion, and she's saying that Shayna's, she just lets Shayna hold the other belt. Like what is this shit? Really, it feels like a Braun Strowman and Nicholas situation with these two. Like, I have to keep reminding myself that they did this because the bigger story is Sasha Banks and Bayley, which is hopefully going to build on SmackDown this week. But still, man, garbage, bro. Garbage. So then Asuka comes out of nowhere, and then Asuka wants to know who is her next challenger for Clash of Champions. All right? And, Shayna's like, oh, Asuka, you can't interrupt me. You can't interrupt us. We're the tag team champions. Just because you have a belt doesn't make you any more special. Oh, excuse me. And here's another thing that makes me pissed off. WWE insulting our intelligence once again. Here they are insulting our intelligence because just a couple weeks ago, Shayna said, I got next. Shayna said, how many times did Shayna say in the last couple months that after Sasha and Asuka finished their beef, right, that I got whoever wins, no matter if Sasha or Asuka, whoever I got next for the Raw Women's Championship. Now that you're a tag team champion, you don't care about being Raw Women's Champion anymore? That's the vibe I was getting from Shayna tonight. Like, she doesn't care about being Raw Tag Team Champion. Or not Raw Tag, but Raw Women's Champion no more. It's like she's content. The Shayna Baszler in NXT would never be content. And I did not like that tonight. And I know most people are not going to, are not going to be, or mention that in their reviews. And that's what makes me different from everybody. Because it's the small details once again. Like, come on. You can't have Shayna a couple weeks ago saying, oh yeah, I'm coming for you, Asuka. I'm coming for the Raw Women's Championship. And now all of a sudden, because she's holding a tag team title belt, she's not interested in being Raw Women's Champion no more. Like, come on. What needs to happen is Shayna and Nia need to drop those tag team championships to the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad need to go defend those titles against people in NXT, and they need to make more teams in the women's division because Sasha and Bayley are about to break up. The Iconics were broken up tonight. So, Asuka and Kairi Sane are no longer a team because Kairi Sane's not there. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are no longer a team. So, you've basically broken up every single team in the women's division now. So, you have no more teams. So basically, you need to drop those titles to the Riot Squad. They need to go to NXT while you build up new teams on the main roster. And then Shayna needs to, go back to being a singles competitor, go after Asuka for the Raw Women's title, and Nia needs to go back to catering. It's that simple. Go back to wrestling school, you fat bitch. You suck. Trash. It's that simple. I'm sorry for being harsh, but still, Nia doesn't deserve to hold any championships. She's garbage. And it's that simple at the end of the day. It's that simple. But Asuka then comes out. Charlie Caruso interviews her and is asking Asuka, who's next in line to face you for the Raw Women's Championship? And she's like, oh, nobody's ready for Asuka. I've beaten so many great champions. And I'll say this, Asuka's English is improving. If you compare Asuka to like a year ago to now, she is so much more fluent, so much better. Yes, she has room for improvement, but, wherever she's learning her English from, Andrade needs to take notes. It's that simple. Andrade needs to go to the same English classes as Asuka's going to, because I'm really impressed with Asuka's English. It's really improving, and you can really hear it on the mic. But Asuka said, I've defeated Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha. And I'm just like, every time she mentions how she beat Sasha, I'm just like, damn it. It hurts a little bit. Even though I know we're heading towards Sasha and Bayley, I hate it. I just hate hearing Sasha Banks, as a loser. I hate it. But all of a sudden, I saw on Twitter, and I was like, can we get Mickie James at least coming out? Putting interest that she wants to come after the Raw Women's Championship. We should be building towards Asuka versus Shayna, or not Shayna Baszler. Well, Shayna Baszler, but we should also be building up Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair should be built up for the Raw Women's Championship. If Sasha Banks does not win the Women's Royal Rumble in January, it should be Bianca Belair. One of those two should be the favorites to win the Women's Royal Rumble this January. All right, because Shayna Baszler should be built into the next top star in the Raw Women's division. There's really nobody else, if you look at it, other than Shayna Baszler. I don't know why WWE's not using. 1 week you have Bianca Belair. She's fighting the Iconics. She's fighting Zelina Vega. And another week, we don't see her on TV. I'm like, come on here. Come on. It's Bianca Belair. She's one of the best in the world at what she does. I hate it, bro. But Instead, Mickie James, yes, old Mickie James, and as you know, I don't mind Mickie James, but I said it. They're bringing back Mickie James and they're putting her in championship contention. And the thing about it is, I don't want to see it because you used to be focusing on the new era of women's superstars. Like Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler. I say this every single week. Like, does nobody understand this concept? Why do we always have to go back to the old heads? You have Mickie James come out saying that she wants a shot at the Raw Women's Championship. And I'm just like, even though I know Asuka and Mickie James can have a great match, I believe in NXT a couple years ago when Mickie first returned, she faced Asuka. I believe it was Mickie James versus Asuka, and it was a fantastic match, you know. But the thing is, I don't want to see Mickie James wrestling for a women's title in 2020. Yes, you could, it would be a good story, but no, her time has come. It's time for new superstars to emerge. This is not her time anymore. And then you have Natalya and Lana come out, and I'm just like, oh, like really? This is what we're doing? Like, we just had Sasha and Asuka give us a fantastic rivalry. Sasha and Asuka gave us two of the best women's matches all year at SummerSlam and Extreme Rules. And then, that's all over now. That's all over now. And what? We're just going to have Asuka go back to, defending the title against people that are not on her level. I'm sorry, but Mickie James is not on her level. Natalya is not on her level. We know for damn sure that Lana's not on her level. So, but this is what we're doing, right? This is what we're doing for the Raw Women's Championship. Like, come on, you have Bianca Belair on your roster and you're not using her, but yet you lose, Natalya, who no one gives a shit about, Lana, who nobody gives a shit about, and Mickie James, who should be wrestling in 2020. This is the problem with WWE. Like, I hate it, man. I hate it. WWE has the future right in front of them, and they refuse to use it. Who the hell cares? Who really cares, bro? And I see President Ty saying Mickie James slander will not be tolerated. I'm not slandering Mickie James. I'm telling you that Mickie James' time has come and gone. She should not be facing or should not be challenging for women's championships in 2020. It's that simple. It's the same thing with somebody like Goldberg coming back challenging for a Universal title. Their time has come and gone. It's a new era. Mickie James is amazing, and she'll be a future Hall of Famer, but she should not be wrestling for women's championships over people like Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott in 2020. It's that simple. And I don't care if you guys disagree with me or not. It's fact. It's fact. I'm not saying Mickie James doesn't have a place in the women's division, but she should not be fighting for women's championships at this stage of her career. It's that simple. I'm sorry, but the truth hurts. The truth hurts. So, anyway, we saw Asuka. She said, I'm ready for you, and you. So I was like, oh, no, they're going to book a fatal four-way. Instead, Alana and Natalya attacked Asuka and Mickie James, and we came back. I thought we were going to get a classic tag team match, but we didn't get that. We got Lana going up against Mickie James. Mickie got the quick win. And Mickie wins with the Mick kick. Afterwards, Asuka made it clear that she wanted to face Mickie soon. So I don't know. It looks like we could be getting Asuka versus Mickie James at Clash of Champions. I'm not that interested, to be honest. I don't see Mickie taking the title off Asuka, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Mickie turns heel because clearly Asuka's going to be the face. But I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm not that interested. You should be building up Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler. We should not be seeing Mickie James and Natalya in the Raw Women's title picture right now. I'm sorry. This feud, there's no story there. It's just Sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that simple. Number one contenders qualifier match: Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. So before this match happened, we saw Randy Orton coming out of Aleister Black's locker room. I like this a lot. You know, it really plays to how strong and how smart Randy Orton is as a heel. Randy Orton was the star of this show tonight. The show was built around him trying to gain another opportunity for the WWE Championship, and I like that. I liked it a lot. I like what NBA YouTube says. He says Mickey should be putting over Bianca Belair. Thank you. Exactly. That should be Mickey's role. She should be putting over younger talent and making them look like bigger stars at the end of the day. Not taking opportunities away from them. And I know it's not Mickey's fault, but that's just the way I see it. But, like I said, I liked how Randy Orton walked out of Aleister Black's locker room before the match. So, Randy comes out. Kevin Owens came out, did his entrance, but he got attacked by Aleister Black before the match. Hit him. He got hit with a black mask, and he threw KO into the ring. KO tried to fight, but clearly he was selling the effects of the black mask, and then Randy hit him with a devastating RKO. Randy, being smart, knowing that there was a triple threat match later on in the night, won the RKO without breaking a sweat. So I really like what they did here. Like I said, Aleister Black should not be a heel, but I do want to see where this goes. Even though I'm worried that it's probably not going to go anywhere because it's Vince McMahon and he's an out-of-touch 70-year-old man. But I did like how Orton used Aleister Black to gain the advantage on Kevin Owens. So clearly we're going to get Aleister Black and KO at some point. But we'll see where this goes. I want Aleister Black, Aleister Black should be a babyface. He should be in the main event scene by now. It's sad that, they had to turn him heel. But I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to see where this goes and where this leads Aleister Black. We'll just, we'll make him to a bigger star, or we'll just end up with him being a disappointment like his main roster run has been so far. But this was smart, and I didn't mind it. Next up, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP versus Cedric Alexander and the Viking Raiders. I wish I could give a shit about this. If you hadn't made the Viking Raiders and, Cedric Alexander look like freaking jobbers all year, then maybe I would care about this match. But I didn't. Another snooze fest. So basically, before the match, we had Demi Burnett, the Bachelorette woman. Like I said, I still don't understand why WWE signed to her. They really had, they really signed her just to flirt with superstars backstage. It's atrocious. She gave Ivar a good luck kiss. And, the Viking Raiders told Cedric that he should be proud of himself for turning down the Hurt Business. So then we saw MVP, he introduced Bobby Lashley. And basically, Lashley said, I did what I said I was going to do, that I was going to hurt Apollo Crews. I was going to put him in the full Nelson, and I was going to win the United States Championship, which he did. But Lashley did promise Apollo payback for attacking him after the match at Payback, even though Lashley said, I would have done the same thing. You will pay for that. Shelton also then promised that he would put down Apollo at Raw Underground. So cheap Raw Underground plug right there. Not that any of us gave a shit, because I don't care about Raw Underground. It's just something on the show, really. So then, the Viking Raiders and Cedric came out. The Viking Raiders attacked Shelton and Lashley before the match. The match wasn't anything special. It wasn't terrible, but I just didn't care. But Cedric won after the Viking Raiders and Lashley and Benjamin were brawling on the outside of the ring. Cedric got a roll-up pin on MVP. MVP actually smiled. He wasn't even mad that he got rolled up. So then we see backstage, we see that the Hurt Business, they start beating down on Cedric after the match. And then we see Ricochet and Apollo come to have Cedric's back. But for some reason, MVP had a weird smile on his face this entire time. He was smiling after he lost via the roll-up, and then he was smiling backstage after the attack. So it seems like they're continuing to tease Cedric joining the Hurt Business. It could still happen. Will it happen? I don't know. I would like to see Cedric get a character change. I would like all of these guys to get character changes because they're not being used correctly. But it just looks like Cedric could be possibly joining the Hurt Business going forward. That's the only way any of this would make any sense. But it's not really that we care at the end of the day. Like I said, if you had built these, Cedric and the Viking Raiders properly, and not made them look like jobbers, we would have cared. But we didn't. Just being honest. Like I said, we are speeding through this show. Like I said, man, without Sasha and Bayley on the show, it's so easy just to speed through everything on Raw. It's really that simple. Then, going on, we had a number one contender match and, a loser disbands match. So this was a double stipulation. So the Iconics versus the Riot Squad. We saw this match on WWE Payback last night on the kickoff show. The Iconics lost to the Riot Squad, and then we would get a rematch tonight to determine the number one contenders for Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax at WWE Payback. Clearly, I knew right away where they were going with this. The Iconics are trash. You guys know this. I don't have to say it. Billie Kay is absolutely awful. Peyton Royce isn't that great herself, but at least she can wrestle a little bit. But if you guys have read reports and the dirt sheets over the last couple weeks, reports have been coming out that Vince McMahon is very high on Peyton Royce and wants to give her a singles run soon, which I'm not against. I'm not that interested in a Peyton Royce singles run, but, you never know. Maybe Billie Kay's been holding her back. Because I remember down in NXT, Peyton Royce was actually pretty decent until they actually put her with Billie Kay. But basically, the Iconics explained backstage that they, have worked together forever and that they would never break up, especially against a makeshift team like Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. So we got the match. The match wasn't anything special. Billie Kay is awful, like I always say. And Riott got a surprise roll-up win for the victory, not only making the Riot Squad the new number one contenders for Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, which will most likely happen at Clash of Champions, but meaning the Iconics have to disband for good. And we saw the Iconics were crying after the match. Here's my thing. I am not a fan of the Iconics. You guys know this. I am not a fan of the Iconics at all. The only thing that I gotta say is WWE is breaking up all their tag teams in the women's division. Look it, you broke up Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross because Alexa Bliss, she's going through some character change since her interactions with The Fiend. Alright, you broke up, or you are breaking up Sasha Banks and Bayley. You've broken up the Iconics. Now, if you look at it, Shayna and Nia are not a tag team. They're not going to be a tag team forever. Shayna is going to be on a singles run, and like I said, Nia needs to go back to McDonald's with her fat ass. I don't give a shit about Nia Jax. She's garbage. She's trash. Go back to wrestling school. Learn a wrestling hold. Anyway, and now, so if you look at it, the only team left in the division is the Riot Squad. So what you should do, what I originally pitched, I've been saying that Sasha Banks and Bayley should have dropped those tag team titles to Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan at Clash of Champions. I've been pitching this since midway through July. That's what I would have done. And then, that would eventually lead to Sasha and Bayley, having tension. Then having the Sasha and Bayley breakup probably happen around Hell in a Cell. Then that would lead to us having Sasha versus Bayley at Survivor Series if we have live crowds back in attendance. Then that would lead to Sasha winning the Women's Royal Rumble, and then Sasha versus Bayley one more time at WrestleMania, with Sasha finally winning her first ever WrestleMania match and becoming a Grand Slam champion. Finally becoming Grand Slam Banks. But, they didn't go that direction because WWE is stupid. They wanted to give the damn titles to freaking Nia Jax. So, now that you look at it, the Riot Squad are most likely going to win the titles at Clash Champions. It should have been against Sasha Banks and Bayley, but, whatever. It's probably going to be against Shayna and Nia unless something changes. So, then, if you break up that team, there's no other team for the Riot Squad to face. That's why I've been saying you need to make some new teams. I don't really have any on my mind right now, and I'm not going to think about it because that could take me some time. But what I would do is I would have the Riot Squad take those championships and defend them down in NXT. Go down to NXT, Form some new teams. I don't know. You could do Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart, and there's probably some other teams you can do down there. Use those titles to elevate NXT talent while you form some new teams on Raw and SmackDown. All right? Make the women's tag team division actually matter. Make the women's tag team division actually matter. Because like I said earlier in the podcast, when those titles are not on Sasha Banks and Bayley, it's really hard for me to care. So if you want to make the women's tag team championships matter and, continue to push them and elevate them like Sasha Banks and Bayley have done throughout the summer, that's the direction you need to go with. Have Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan win those tag team championships, go down to NXT and face some teams down there while you build up some new teams on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. It's really that simple at the end of the day. If they don't do that, the tag team championships go back to just being props. And who cares? I will not mention them. All right. We had R-Truth. R-Truth became a 39-time 24/7 champion when he pinned Akira Tozawa in the parking lot of the Amway Center. This was set up, there was a referee that was, dressed up as a parking operator. He said that Akira Tozawa could not come through. Even Akira tried to show that he's the 24/7 champion. He's on the list. Clearly, this was all set up. The parking operator revealed that he was a referee, and R-Truth rode him up from behind. Who gives a shit? It's the same rinse and repeat shit every single week. All right, Truth's going to lose the title next week, and then 2 weeks later, they'll have him win again via roll-up in some other new way. It's pointless. It's really pointless and stupid. Next up, we had the third number one contenders qualifier match. Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio. Remember, Rey Mysterio was unable to compete in this match because of injury. We had all Rey's family was backstage supporting him. His father, his mother, and his sister. So that was pretty cool. We haven't seen Dominic's sister on WWE TV in a long time. But the whole family was there to support Dominic tonight. But like I said, Dominic is getting better each and every single week, but it makes absolutely zero sense for him to be in this match because this is only his fourth match ever in WWE. I don't care that Dominic was not going to win. That's not the point. All right? There was no reason for Dominic to be in this match to begin with. Even if he wasn't going to win, it's his fourth freaking match. He's not Brock Lesnar. He's Dominic. The guy looks like he just came out of high school. Yes, he's impressive in the ring, especially for some of his experience and his size, but it made no sense for him to be in this match. All right. Before the match, we saw Seth Rollins kick out Buddy Murphy. This was, continuation of what happened last night. Remember, Murphy hit Seth with a kick, led to Seth being taken out of the match, and then Dominic hitting the 619 on Seth for the win. So Seth was not happy. He said he needed the focus tonight, and he yelled at Buddy for what he did. And said, you need to get your priorities straight and, decide if you want to be on the right side of history or not. Decent stuff here. Murphy was, confused and he was angry. I don't know where this goes. Maybe this leads to Murphy turning on Seth. Maybe. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. We know that Seth's going to eventually be taken off TV sometime in the next couple months. I'm willing to bet around Hell in a Cell. End of October, November at the latest, because we know Becky is due to have her child in December. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Maybe they're setting this up for Murphy to be the guy. Maybe it's not going to be Dominic or Ray or, KO or somebody else. Maybe it's going to be Murphy, his own disciple. Which could actually, it has a, decent story about it. Maybe this leads to a Buddy Murphy face turn. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see where there is a story there if WWE wants to pursue it. So then we saw as Murphy was leaving, Dominic attacked Murphy on the stage, and then we got the match with Seth. Nothing special here. Most of the stuff we've already seen. Even though I will say that Dominic is improving each and every single week. He's getting better and better and better. But like I said, there's no reason. I don't care what anybody says. There was no reason for Dominic to be in a number one contenders qualifier match for the WWE Championship. He's not Brock Lesnar. It makes no sense. But we saw near the end here, Dominic hit the 619. And I was like, is Dominic actually going to pull this off? He went for the splash. Seth then rolled out of the way. And Seth hit him with the curb stomp for the victory. Afterwards, Rollins hit another stomp once again on Dominic as Ray and his family watched backstage. So, I don't know where they go from here, if they're continuing Dominic versus Seth or not. I'm pretty much over it at this point. I don't really see where else they can go with this, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Seth punched his ticket. Even though this was a good match, it didn't really make sense for Dominic to be in a number one contenders qualifier match for a WWE Championship. And I'm going to stick by it. Next up, we had a tornado tag team match. The Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. This is what I'm talking about. The tag team division in WWE is it's probably its weakest state ever. You have AEW over in their neck of the woods with the best tag team division in the entire industry, and you have all the tag team divisions in WWE are hot garbage. Hot garbage right now. It's really that simple. Really that simple. Like, I don't care. I like the Street Profits, but I don't care about their feud with Andrade and Angel Garza. These teams have been basically feuding since WrestleMania, back and forth. Remember when it was Garza and Austin Theory? It's been a back and forth between these teams since WrestleMania. I don't care. And the only reason why we're getting it is because there's no other teams in the division. There's no other teams in the division. The Viking Raiders, we've already seen that. And there's nobody else. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, they're not even teaming most weeks. It's so bad. I'm going to keep saying, WWE really needs to merge the divisions. The tag team divisions, at least. The women's divisions, you can make an argument that they need to be merged, but, I feel like if WWE put more care into the tag team, into the women's divisions, you could keep them separate. But the tag team divisions desperately need to be merged. It's ridiculous. We've been watching this since April. And it's not special. And I have zero care, zero desire. There's no story there. There's just no care. It's that simple. There's no care. The only reason why the Street Profits have been the longest reigning tag champs is because nobody cares. And there's no teams in that division. Now, at this point, the Street Profits might hold those championships all year. Because there's really no teams in that division. Just merge the divisions. Please. Bringing up the Undisputed Era is not going to save it. It's not going to save the Raw Tag Team Division. You need to merge the Tag Team Divisions. And if that's not clear to WWE at this point, then I don't know what else to say. Really. Raw and SmackDown, the Tag Team Divisions have never been as bad as it is right now. And you can tell because they're trying to find ways to keep this feud going where none of us give a crap about it. And it's that simple. There's really nothing else to say. So we had a tornado tag team match. The match wasn't anything special because we didn't see anything in this match that we haven't seen from these two teams in the past. The best thing about this match was seeing Zelina Vega, because Zelina Vega is absolutely beautiful. She is breathtaking. She takes my breath away every time I see her. Not as beautiful as Sasha Banks. I just had to make that clear. But Zelina Vega is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. And her outfits, mwah. But we saw Montez Ford making the babyface comeback here, but then the lights went out and Retribution arrived. We saw Garza took his ringside guest Demi Burnett out of the arena, and we saw the Street Profits and Andrade get beaten down. We also saw Zelina get beaten down. Zelina said, fuck it, I'm going to go out on my sword. She went after Retribution, and she got beaten down by the female members. And it's pretty clear who the members are of Retribution right now. Even though, I'm going to say it again, Retribution has no direction. I'm tired of seeing them attack people every single week. There's nothing special about them. Alright? When are you going to have them actually get on the mic and actually explain why they're doing what they're doing? Every week, you have them attack people backstage, attack people in the arena, do this, do that. It's not special anymore. I just don't give a shit. We know who the members are. Dominik Dijakovic, Mia Yim, Kaden Carter, and a couple other NXT members. But who gives a shit? Nobody. Nobody gives a shit about Retribution. If you're not going to have them give us a motive, and you're just going to have them beat down people every single week, what's the point? Like, really? Does no one have any common sense back there? Does no one see, like, oh, maybe we should have Retribution get on the mic one of these days and actually explain why they're doing what they're doing? What's their motive? What's their end game here? Like, at this point, it's just, It's like Raw Underground. It's like, It's just there. It's just there. And there's nothing special about it. It is garbage at this point. And I don't care about it. Until you give me a reason, even though we know who the members of Retribution are, until you give me a reason for why Retribution is doing what they're doing, I'm not going to care. You can have them attack John Cena and The Undertaker for all I care. It's not going to make me care in the slightest until we actually have a motive for this group and a reason for them doing what they're doing. It's that simple. All right. Anyway. Oh, man. Christopher Carter, man. I don't know if I've said anything positive on this Monday Night Raw review. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Have I said anything positive about this show so far? I think everything I've said is negative and is justified. Like, I'm not some of these other podcasters that come out and say, oh, Raw is bad just for this. I'm actually giving you guys reasons and explaining why this show is atrocious. It's ridiculous. Heading over to Raw Underground. We'll go through this very quick. Titus O'Neil made a rare appearance out of catering. He took a break from baking pies and making cookies, as JD would say it. Titus came out of Raw Underground, took out some Performance Center wrestlers. Probably the most aggressive we've ever seen out of Titus O'Neil. He actually looked kind of like a actual superstar. Then we saw Richard Moss step up to him. The two brawled, but Moss hit him with a low blow and knocked Titus out. Nothing special there. We saw Jessamine Duke dominate a woman, then kick her out of the ring. Then we saw Marina Shafir cut off. And we saw Marina beat her down. Then we saw the Iconics. The Iconics still angry about being forced to disband their tag team tonight. We saw that Duke and Shafir wanted to face them 2-on-2, but instead Peyton pushed Billie Kay in there and left her alone. So, like I said, Peyton is going on a singles run. We know this. Vince is very high on Peyton Royce. I don't know why, but, that is the case. So Peyton, feeding Billie to the wolves. Billie got her ass beat, and, yeah, Peyton Royce, she's on her own. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Peyton Royce in singles action next week. And in the main event of Raw Underground, we saw Apollo Crews. He walked in very confident with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. He went up against Shelton Benjamin, but the match didn't last long because we saw a brawl break out between the the six men. And we saw the Hurt Business take out the baby faces and stood tall. So Apollo Crews, like I said, he is right back to catering. He's not gaining that United States Championship back. All right? Don't believe it. Don't fall for it. He is not gaining the United States title back. Raw Underground was trash. Nothing special. Whatever. I see you, Chris. Carter says, I was so busy playing Saints Row 4 on my PS4. That's more fun than Raw. Saints Row 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. I beat that campaign maybe 3 or 4 times. I haven't played it in like a couple years, but I love Saints Row 4. I'd rather talk about Saints Row 4 for the rest of the podcast and review Monday Night Raw. But hey, hopefully we get a Saints Row 5 sometime in the next couple years. I would really love to see that game. I heard it was in development, but hey. Getting into the main event, which was actually decent. We had Seth Rollins versus Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Number 1 contenders match. Winner faces Drew McIntyre at Clash of Champions. It was clear that most likely Orton was going to win this match. There was a slight chance that maybe Keith Lee could get it, especially with Keith Lee's victory over Randy Orton last night at Payback. But Randy Orton was the favorite. We looked like Randy Orton, Seth, former authority stablemates. They looked like they teased working together to bring the big man down, but Orton refused to get his hands dirty early. Then we saw Seth do the same thing, but then Keith went on the attack and attacked both men. But we came back from break. Lee was getting worn down by Orton and Seth working together. Out of nowhere, we see Randy Orton hit he hit Seth Rollins with a DDT, and I could see the finish coming from a mile away. So we saw Seth went for the stomp on Keith. Keith countered into the Spirit Bomb. Randy Orton comes out of nowhere, hits Lee with the RKO, but instead of pinning Keith Lee, they want to make Lee, look strong. So Orton actually went for the pin on Seth Rollins instead. So Lee doesn't take the pin, Rollins does. It's not going to hurt Rollins at the end of the day of him taking the pin. I understand why WWE did it. Lee looks strong in defeat. But Orton gets the win, and he's now the number one contender against Drew McIntyre for Clash of Champions. And early predictions right now, I think Randy Orton is becoming WWE Champion at Clash of Champions, all right? And then we'll see the feud end at Hell in a Cell in October. But that's what I think is going to happen. But not surprised here. This whole show was basically built around Randy Orton. He had 3 or 4 different segments tonight. This was all about him, trying to get retribution and put himself in place to get another WWE Championship opportunity. Orton was probably the best thing on the show tonight. But all in all, this was a very, very, very boring edition of Monday Night Raw. Really, nothing's good happened. Not having Sasha Banks and Bayley on the show anymore really hurts, even though they shouldn't be on the show. They need to be focused on building towards their feud, which could be feud of the year if we get it. But other than that, guys, this was a really boring show. Nothing special happened. Nothing that I cared about, really. This was just really boring. Really boring. It's that simple at the end of the day. But I want to thank you guys for joining me here on the podcast. Hopefully you guys didn't find tonight's podcast boring. And if you guys didn't, before you guys leave, no matter if you guys are on the stream or on demand, please hit a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. And it pushes the video out so more people can be educated. So we don't have idiots like Drew Pierce in the chat saying this show was a 10 out of 10. Best Raw of the year. Like, get the hell out of here with that, you troll. But either way, guys, if you guys enjoyed the review, hit a like on the video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Hit the bell right next to my name so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. If you guys haven't yet, check out the WWE Payback review that we did last night and the SummerSlam review if you guys haven't checked that out as well. Lots of content on the channel. We'll see next week if Drew McIntyre makes his return. I don't know if he will, but definitely they can take their time with this because Clash of Champions is not for a month. So we'll see what happens between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton next week. Hopefully WWE can give us a decent show next week. I doubt it, but we'll have to wait and see. But either way, not a good show tonight, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast, and hopefully that made up for how bad Raw was tonight. Thank you guys for joining me here on the podcast. I'll see you guys later this week. I have some extra videos coming out. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Sasha Banks and Bayley and how they should book that. Definitely, I'm excited for SmackDown just to see what could potentially happen with Sasha Banks and Bayley there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast one more time. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description down below. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day, guys. Stay safe and healthy. Peace.